There's something no one tells you about growing older as a man. It's not just about the gray hair or the quiet nights. It's about the questions that start to whisper in your mind. Am I still desirable? Could someone still fall for me at this age? And if they did, would I even notice? You see, we've been taught to listen for words, but attraction doesn't always speak out loud. Sometimes it hides in glances, gestures, and silences that linger a bit too long. And for many older men, widowed, divorced, or simply living alone, there may be a woman nearby. A kind smile at church, a gentle laugh at the market, a neighbor who always lingers a little too long at the mailbox. But you hesitate. You wonder if it's real or just your imagination playing tricks again. What if it's not in your head? What if there are signs she's attracted to you? You've just never been taught to see them. In today's video, we're going to walk you through 7 silent signals women give when they're genuinely drawn to someone, especially in later life, where love no longer shouts, it whispers. This isn't about pickup lines or shallow charm. It's about understanding what connection looks like when we're older, wiser, and more emotionally honest. Because after 65, attraction isn't about youth or muscle. It's about presence, safety, the way you make her feel when you're simply being yourself. And yes, you can still spark something real, even if you've been out of the dating world for decades, even if you think your time has passed. If you stay until the end, you'll walk away knowing exactly what to look for, not just in a stranger, but maybe in someone already in your life, a friend, a companion, a gentle soul who's just been waiting for you to finally see it. Let's begin. Part 2. The eyes that don't lie. Have you ever felt like someone was looking at you, but not through you, into you? It's a quiet moment, a glance that lingers, and suddenly something stirs inside, something you haven't felt in a long time. When a woman is truly drawn to you, her eyes will say it long before her words ever do. Prolonged eye contact isn't just polite, it's a sign of presence, emotional availability, and unspoken curiosity. It's her way of saying, I see you, I feel safe with you, I want to know more. How this feels for older men. For many older men, eye contact has become functional. A quick nod, a passing glance, a brief look at the checkout counter. But real connection? That eye contact that pauses time? That's rare. And when it happens, you might feel unsure, maybe even want to look away. Because part of you wonders, could this really be happening now at this age? But here's the truth. A woman who looks at you and holds that gaze isn't doing it by accident. She's giving you a chance, a doorway, to see her seeing you. And it doesn't matter if your hair is silver or your steps are slower. She's not looking at your past. She's feeling your presence. Frank's moment at the library. Frank, a 72-year-old retired history teacher, spent most of his afternoons at the local library. He wasn't looking for anything more than quiet. Until one Thursday, while discussing a memoir with his reading group, he caught the eyes of Eleanor, a woman he'd seen many times before. Only this time she didn't look away. Her eyes stayed with his for just a second too long. She smiled, he smiled back, and neither of them said a word about it, but everything had changed. He told us later, it wasn't flirtation, it was recognition. Like she saw something in me I didn't even remember I had. And when that gaze holds you still, like a quiet song you didn't expect, you might notice something else. Her posture begins to shift, her shoulders open, and suddenly you realize she's not just looking at you, she's leaning toward you. Let's talk about what that means. In part 3, her body faces you even when her words don't. Part 3, her body faces you even when her words don't. Words can hide, but the body always tells the truth. And if you know where to look, you'll start to notice something. She's not just present, she's oriented toward you. When a woman feels safe, interested, or quietly drawn to you, her body turns toward you, even when her words are directed elsewhere. Her knees point your way. Her shoulders angle in. She leans closer when she speaks, or when you speak. She may not say anything about her feelings, but her body already has. And here's what makes this powerful. It's not conscious. She doesn't plan it. She doesn't even notice it. But her nervous system does, because we're all wired to face what we trust and turn away from what we fear. What this means for you. As men grow older, many start to feel invisible, even in a room full of people. Conversations become short, interactions feel polite but not personal. So when someone, especially a woman, angles herself towards you, it's not small, it's signal. She's telling you, I'm here, with you, not just next to you. And for a man who hasn't felt chosen in years, this shift in posture can be more affirming than 1,000 compliments. But you have to notice, because if you brush it off, you might miss the quiet language of her interest again. James and Margaret at the community center. James, 68, volunteers at his local community center, helping set up weekly events. He told us about Margaret, another regular, who always sat a few seats away in the group circle. But something strange kept happening. Even when she spoke to someone else, her feet were pointed at him. Her shoulders angled his way. Every time he shifted in his seat, she subtly adjusted to stay aligned with him. He thought it was coincidence. Until the third week, when she leaned in during a group game and whispered, "You're the only one who actually listens." It wasn't about the words. It was about where her energy had been facing all along. And that's the beauty of body language. It's honest. But there's another signal, even more playful, even more telling. It's not how she stands, it's how she laughs. When joy bubbles up effortlessly, even at your worst jokes, something deeper may be stirring. Let's talk about that next. In part 4, she laughs, even when your joke isn't that funny. Part 4, she laughs, even when your joke isn't that funny. You say something silly, not your best material, maybe even corny, but she laughs, not just a polite smile, not just a soft chuckle, a full, genuine laugh, like you just made her day. What does that tell you? Laughter is one of the oldest bonding signals in human behavior. When someone laughs freely in your presence, it means they feel safe, at ease, and emotionally open. And if a woman laughs often around you, especially at things you didn't even intend to be that funny, it's a sign. She's not just enjoying the joke, she's enjoying you. That laughter, it's not about the punchline. It's about presence, how she feels when you're around. Why this matters after 65. For many older adults, laughter becomes rare. The world slows down, the losses accumulate, the silence grows louder. But when someone makes you laugh, or when you bring out laughter in someone else, it's like a light flickers back on. For older men, especially those who've lost a spouse or have been alone for a long time, that laughter can feel like a spark. And maybe, just maybe, it's not random. Maybe it's her way of saying, you make me feel alive again. You bring out the part of me I thought was gone. And that is powerful. Harold and the Garden Club. Harold, 74, helps run a local garden club. He's known for his dad jokes and bad puns. Why did the tomato blush? Because it saw the salad dressing. Every time he said one, most folks just groaned. Except Lucy. Lucy, 70, would laugh every time, even when no one else did, even when he repeated himself. Harold thought it was just politeness, until she said one day, "You always know how to lighten the room. I love that about you." That laughter wasn't about the joke, it was about him. So the next time a woman laughs a little too easily or a little too often, pay attention. She might not be laughing at what you said, she might be laughing because it's you who said it. And if you notice that joy, that comfort, watch her hands next, because the next signal is even subtler and even more telling. Let's explore it in part 5, her touch is never accidental. Part 5, her touch is never accidental. She brushes lint off your sleeve. Her fingers lightly tap your hand during a story. She leans in for a quick hug and lingers just half a second longer than needed. Coincidence? Maybe not. Touch is one of the most powerful and personal forms of communication. And when a woman initiates physical contact in small, casual ways, it's often not random. It's her way of saying, I feel safe with you, and possibly, I want to feel even closer. These gentle, so-called accidental touches, they're often little tests of trust and quiet invitations to emotional intimacy. She's not grabbing your hand in public. She's not declaring her love. She's simply placing her hand on your arm, seeing if it feels right. And more often than not, it does. The power of touch, later in life. For many older men, touch becomes scarce over time. After the loss of a spouse, divorce, or even just years of living alone, physical connection fades, and we learn to live without it. But the body never stops craving it, not in a desperate way, but in a deeply human way. So when someone reaches out, even lightly, it can awaken emotions long buried. That single touch can stir memories of warmth, closeness, or even heartbreak. It can also bring hope, because maybe, just maybe, she's ready to connect again. And she's wondering if you are too. Peter and Sylvia at the art class. Peter, 69, signed up for a watercolor class after retirement. He wasn't there to meet anyone, just to try something new. Sylvia, 67, sat next to him every week. At first it was small, her hand brushing his when they reached for the same paintbrush. Then she started resting her hand on his shoulder when complimenting his work. One day, she fixed the collar of his shirt and smiled, saying, "There, now you look like the artist you are." Peter hadn't been touched like that in years. It wasn't romantic yet, but it was meaningful, and it stayed with him for days. So if you feel her hand graze yours, if she taps your arm when she laughs, if she adjusts your scarf or rests her fingers on your wrist while talking, pay attention. It's not the gesture itself, it's the care behind it. And if she's touching you with trust, she may also want to know you with trust. So next, let's explore how her curiosity can reveal something even deeper. In Part 6, her questions dig deeper than small talk. Part 6, her questions dig deeper than small talk. She asks, what did you used to dream of doing? Not, how's the weather? Not, did you see the game? But you, your story, your past, your inner life. That's not small talk, that's an opening. When a woman is genuinely interested in you, she starts to ask questions that move beyond surface-level conversation. She's not just being polite. She's curious. She wants to know what moves you, what shaped you, what still matters to you, even now. This kind of inquiry isn't just about gathering facts. It's a quiet invitation. Let me into your world. Tell me who you really are. I'm ready to listen. Why this matters later in life. As we age, we accumulate more history than most people ever to ask about. Decades of triumphs, losses, quiet moments that changed everything. But in day-to-day life, few people stop to ask, what was the happiest year of your life? Or what did you love most about your wife? So when someone, especially a woman, does, it can feel unfamiliar, tender, maybe even scary, but also healing, because it reminds you, you're not just an old man with a daily routine. You're a whole story still being written, and someone wants to read it, not just the ending, but the chapters you thought everyone had forgotten. Alfred and Gloria's dinner table conversations. Alfred, 72, met Gloria through a mutual friend. They started having dinner once a week, nothing serious, but week by week her questions shifted. At first it was, how long have you lived here? Then, what's something you regret never doing? And finally, what would make you feel alive again? He told us, no one had asked me that in 30 years, not even my kids. That night, he told her about the boat he'd never built, the poetry he wrote in Vietnam but never showed anyone, the night his wife died, and the song she was humming before she slipped away. He said, she didn't flinch, she didn't fill the silence, she just listened, like it all mattered. And in that moment, it did. When someone wants to know you, not just your opinions, when they listen without judgment, when their questions feel like a gentle unraveling instead of an interrogation, you begin to feel something rare, understood, and often you'll notice something else. As she leans in closer, she'll start adjusting little things, her hair, her collar, her scarf, not out of vanity, but because she wants to feel seen. She wants to look her best for you. Let's talk about that next in part 7. She fixes her hair, her clothes, and maybe her heart. Part 7. She fixes her hair, her clothes, and maybe her heart. She says, "Oh, don't mind me. I'm a mess today." But then you see her subtly adjusting her scarf, smoothing her blouse, checking her lipstick in a window's reflection. Is it vanity? Not quite. It might be vulnerability, wrapped in care. When a woman starts adjusting her appearance in your presence, fixing her hair, straightening her clothes, reapplying a bit of gloss, it often means she's aware of you. More importantly, she cares how you see her. These are not grand makeovers. They're micro moments of effort, tiny gestures that say, "You matter to me. I want to look nice for you. You've stirred something in me I thought was long asleep." And it's not just physical. Sometimes that grooming is her way of preparing emotionally, too, of making space for connection she wasn't expecting. What this means later in life. Many older women have spent decades caring for others, children, spouses, parents. Their beauty often became background noise in a life of responsibility. So when they begin fixing themselves up again, it's not always about romance. It's about remembrance. They're remembering what it feels like to be noticed, to feel feminine, alive, attractive, to have someone's attention light them up from the inside out. And for the man on the other side of that glance, it's more than flattering, it's humbling. Because her effort says, "I'm willing to be seen again, and I choose to be seen by you." Tom, 75, met Edith at his church's monthly brunch. He noticed she always looked elegant, not flashy, but thoughtful. One Sunday, they were seated across from each other. As they spoke, she quietly reached into her purse, took out a compact mirror and fixed a stray hair. Then she smiled and said, "Sorry, I don't usually care this much. Must be the lighting." But Tom knew it wasn't the lighting, it was him. He told us later, "I hadn't been the reason for a woman's nervous grooming in decades. It felt touching, like she was letting me into her softness." It wasn't about appearances, it was about intimacy, in its most tender, unspoken form. So if you see her adjusting her necklace, smoothing her skirt, or fixing her hair after laughing with you, know that she's not doing it for the room. She's doing it for the moment, and maybe for you. But not all attraction comes with confidence. Sometimes it brings nerves, hesitation, little stumbles that reveal more than polish ever could. Let's talk about that next in part 8. Her calm cracks just a little. Part 8. Her calm cracks just a little. She seems composed, graceful, steady, until she suddenly fumbles her napkin, loses her words mid-sentence, or laughs, then looks down, embarrassed, unsure why. What just happened? You did. When a woman is emotionally drawn to someone, that even the most confident version of herself might tremble, just a little. She fidgets with her hands, adjusts her bracelet over and over, plays with the edge of her scarf, or twists her ring while talking. These aren't nervous habits without cause. They're subtle signs of inner excitement and vulnerability. It means she cares. It means your presence makes her feel something. It means she's not indifferent. And at her age, that's not a feeling she gives away lightly. What this means later in life, many older women have learned to protect their feelings. They've been through heartbreak, disappointment, years of being strong for everyone else. So when their calm slips, when their hand shakes slightly as they reach for a cup or they blush unexpectedly, it's not weakness, it's aliveness. It's their body revealing what their voice won't say. You matter more to me than I expected. I thought I was done feeling like this, but now I'm not so sure. And for older men, seeing that kind of softness can be both surprising and deeply moving, because it means something real might be stirring, even if neither of you is ready to name it yet. Larry and Nora at the cafe. Larry, 70, had a Sunday morning routine: black coffee, crossword puzzle, and a window seat at his neighborhood cafe. Nora, 68, started joining him occasionally after bumping into him at church. One morning, as they chatted, he complimented her scarf, a deep burgundy wool. She smiled and said, "Oh, this old thing?" Then promptly dropped her spoon into her tea. They both laughed, but Larry noticed she didn't stop fidgeting after that. She adjusted her scarf 3 more times, wiped her glasses, picked at a sugar packet that didn't need opening. It wasn't nerves, quietly leaking through her carefully composed exterior. And in that moment, he realized she cared. This wasn't just friendly company, it was hope, wrapped in hesitation. So the next time you see her blush for no reason, lose her train of thought, or glance down with a shy smile she quickly hides, don't dismiss it, don't overlook it. That pause, that crack in her calm, might be her heart stepping forward, one cautious beat at a time. Now that you've learned how to read her silent signals, what do you do next? Let's bring it all together in part 9, the silent language of connection. She may never say it out loud. There may be no confession. No dramatic moment straight out of a movie. But if you've been paying attention, truly paying attention, you'll realize something beautiful. She's been speaking to you all along, just not with words. In her eyes that linger, in the way her body turns toward yours, in the quiet laughter that finds you again and again, in the soft touch, the curious question, the nervous hands, and the way she brushes her hair back when you arrive. These aren't accidents. They're chapters in a silent language older than either of you, a language of trust, of possibility, of two people who've lived long enough to know that the deepest connections rarely shout, they whisper. And here's the truth. You're not too old for love. You're not too late for connection. You haven't missed your chance, not entirely. Because when a woman shows you these signs, what she's really saying is, I'm still open, are you? And that might just be the bravest thing either of you has done in years. So here's what I want you to remember. Even if you've been alone for a long time, even if your heart has been hurt or hardened or hidden, even if you think no one looks at you that way anymore, look again. She might not be saying it with words, but her body, her gestures, her laughter, her presence, they're trying to tell you something. And if you're ready to listen, really listen, you might find that love, connection, and companionship are still available to you. Quietly, bravely, beautifully. All you have to do is see what's always been there, and maybe take a step closer. Which of these signs have you noticed in your life, but maybe didn't understand at the time? Comment if someone ever held your gaze longer than expected. Comment 2 if a simple touch stayed in your memory days after it happened. Comment 3 if you're still waiting, still watching, and still hopeful. Share your story below. Your voice may give courage to someone else today. And if this video meant something to you, a like or a subscribe helps us keep bringing these quiet truths to light. Because at Legacy of Wisdom, we believe, growing old doesn't mean fading out. It means living deeper and listening more closely, even when the heart speaks in silence. Until next time, friend. Stay open, stay kind, and stay listening.